this is us from back in 2003, 2004. That's me, that's Kenny, that's Andrew there, as we were part of Thirsty Souls. That's another picture of us there.
Yes, Brad, Kenny, and I were, just hanging out making some music, and we wanted to make like a Christian rock group is what we wanted to do. And then we decided upon the name Thirsty Souls.
Thirsty Souls.
And we pulled that from, do you remember the song exactly? Where good news is...
Good news from a far country is like water to a thirsty soul.
That's right. There it is right there. Yep. And that was our premise of the band because we wanted to spread the good news, and we wanted to do it in a way that we enjoyed and we thought other people would enjoy it. And, looking back is nothing but a blast. Creating music and, ultimately the mission that we've all had is we want to bring peace to people through the name of Jesus Christ and, and through the music and just creating stuff together in our friendship. So.
Thanks for joining us today here on our podcast. We have the group members from Cackalacky, what did we say it was? The urban country?
Urban.
Country urban. First question for us all, what made you want to become a musician?
I always thought music was pretty fun. I don't know, it's just really cool. It's a really cool hobby to get into. I first started messing around with a guitar because one of my buddies growing up had a guitar, and then we wanted to make a little band. So he played guitar, and then I was like, all right, I'll play drums so we can at least have something going on. It's just always something fun to do, make some music, hang out with the boys.
Right. What about you, Kenny?
I like creating. A lot of stuff you pretty much can and fed to you on the radio, and don't like a lot of pop stuff or things that are just kind of force-fed to you. I like unique type music.
Right.
Stuff's just different. So I like creating, and music is an experience. It's fun.
Awesome. Well, with me and music, my parents were both musically inclined. I've always wanted to play music since I was really little. Started playing with Lincoln Logs on like buckets and cans and stuff like that. I turned pots and pans over and just click, 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 which I thought it sounded cool. It probably sounded really horrible to everybody else. But my uncle is a drummer, and I've always looked up to him as a Christian and as a percussionist. And then I picked up guitar in high school and started playing, and then learned bass with you guys in, what was that, 2003? It was a long time ago. 22 years ago, man. 22 years. That's been a long time. So what instruments do you play? Like, what all instruments do you play?
I play everything but none of them. I try all of them, but I'm terrible at all of them. So mainly guitar. Started out playing trumpet when I was in middle school. Enjoyed it for a couple years until I actually broke it over a kid's head who pushed my head down in the water fountain. So that was into my trumpet days, and hard to play with a bent bell.
Right.
But yeah.
Trumpet's hard to play anyways.
That's what he said, right?
Yeah, guitar is, I enjoy guitar. Not that great at it, but all the other ones are harder than that. So yeah, that's about it. Andrew, you play anything?
Do I?
A cowbell?
Yeah, cowbell.
Andrew is a professional
Only when I got a fever,
so.
I play a little bit of everything percussion-wise. Drum set mainly with these guys, and dabbling a little guitar here and there, nothing like Brad and Kenny. Dabbling a little bass, nothing like Brad.
But, he's much better on bass than I am, much better. I'm probably the same way with Andrew. Percussion is my focus. Play a little guitar. Like I said, picked up guitar in high school and then bass with you guys. Play drums at my church. All right, so how do you handle mistakes during a performance?
When you first start, you make a big deal out of it, and you stop like a derailed train, but then eventually you learn like mistakes are just part of the game.
Right, yeah. Mistakes happen.
Mistakes happen. You miss a note by click. Okay, whatever. As long as the song isn't derailed, just have a good memory, or what do they call it? Good short-term memory, and forget that one.
Right.
Kenny, you probably relate being a football coach. You got to have a good short-term memory. If you have a loss of yards, you got to tell them, all right, get that one out of your head. Next play, right?
Something like that. Yep.
Something like that.
Yep. When it comes to performance, you mess up. I feel like just make a comedy act out of it. Just play off of it.
Right.
Everybody makes mistakes. So if you mess up, just have fun with it.
Right. Especially if it's something noticeable, just kind of make a goofy face, recognize that you made a mistake, and then just kind of move on from it. How do you guys deal with negative feedback, especially with today's day and age, with technology and comments on videos and stuff like that? You're always going to have somebody that's going to say something negative. So how do you deal with negative feedback?
I'll go first on this one. You're always going to get, like you said, everybody's a Monday morning quarterback, or somebody's always going to have something to say, and you want to listen to them, listen to what they say, because sometimes they're going to be right, and you have to be able to accept it and analyze it and see if it's something that you can turn into a positive.
Right.
So if it's, some people are just going to talk, and you have to filter through those things and see what's real and what's not. and go from there. You still want to listen to everything, but you don't let it affect you in a negative way. Turn it into a positive. If it's something that they're saying is true that you need to fix, then you fix it, and take that constructive criticism. But if it's just criticism, then it goes in one ear and out the other. That filter happens.
Say you appreciate the feedback and just kind of move on, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Because, like we said a moment ago, all feedback is beneficial in some way, and some people decide to present that feedback in a negative way and some in a positive way. Andrew, what about you?
Yeah, I can concur with that. And I think with anything that you do, you typically have a vision or a big idea of what you're trying to accomplish. And even with creating, like you were talking about, like you have an idea that you want to create something in a certain way. So take that constructive criticism, but also stay true to the vision that you had. And if you didn't quite have a full out vision, take that constructive criticism and maybe shape whatever you're developing, like your song, into something and tighten that vision for that song.
How do you maintain and prove your musical skills? I want to kind of elaborate on this question if I can, Kenny especially, because Kenny, I feel like your mind just does not stop when it comes to music and musical ideas and lyrics especially. So how do you maintain and improve your skills?
That's funny because when it comes to making music, like I said, I like creating and doing something that's never been done before. That's what I look forward to. It's just riding down the road, I'll sing something and not even use real words, but just like, what about a beautiful, and I might not even use real words. I might use words that don't even make sense. But if they sound good and they pop, then I'll come back and put some words into it that make sense, or to me, I guess. Improving my skills in terms of guitar or musical instrument, I have to practice a lot because I'm not a natural. So I had to put in a lot of work, a lot of practice to just be average. But the creating part I enjoy, and having time to myself and making up stuff that don't make sense is really how I come up with stuff.
Right. Yeah. What about you, Andrew?
You have to put into work consistently with anything in life, relationships or in your skill in music. You got to pay rent daily. If you want to keep your skills to a certain level, your creativity to a certain level, you need to expose yourself to many different things, because truly we draw on the ideas that we've accumulated in life. Like we've heard that singer do it that certain way. We've heard a sound in nature or some random sound somewhere, and now we piece all those things together, and now we create this new sound. Right. But when it comes to just laying a drum beat down or like a riff, you got to keep your chops up. You got to do some routine sometimes, or you just got to play those songs that you played before. Try them a different way.
Right.
Consistency.
My main thing is I always like to revisit the basics, kind of like what you guys are saying. Build off of what you know, but revisit what you know. You got to start from your foundation and work from there. Not only revisit the basics, but revisit the basics often. Like you said, do it every day. With percussion, I always go back to even 8 on a hand, super basic 8th note exercise, but it just builds those chops. Now, Kenny, you mentioned that you like creating things. You like coming up with even stuff that comes to your mind that doesn't sound like real words. But what is your creative process? Kind of expounding upon what you were talking about a while ago when you're driving down the road. Like, what is your full creative process when it comes to writing songs?
It's really kind of different every time, because sometimes I'll come up with musical riffs or something I like, and then I put words around it. And then sometimes I'll come up with words and sounds and things like that are unique, different, or, something that I like that sounds catchy, or, kind of poppy or boppy or whatever it is, trying to, things that make you move.
Right.
And so then I'll put words around it. And like I said, just going down the road, most of the time it's in the car. If I got a long trip, best time really, because I'm just sitting there in silence and just start making up stuff, singing stuff that sounds awful, but I record it while I'm doing it. I'm going down the road recording myself, and you go back and listen to some of the stuff, you think I'm crazy. But, out of that, it might be a 2-hour trip, and out of that whole 2 hours, I'm sitting there recording, just singing or making sounds out of my mouth or beating on my steering wheel. Maybe 10 seconds worth of that sounds great, and then I build around it.
Yeah, I remember back with Thirsty Souls, even you sent me a little audio recording of you driving down the road, and just hear that hit on the steering wheel.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like,
Oh, yeah.
Andrew, what about you? What is your creative process?
I just try things. Get behind the kit. I listen to like Neil Peart. He kind of talks about it in Anatomy of a Drum Solo.
Yeah.
And I concur with what he said. Sometimes you just sit behind the kit and you just try new ideas. Not everything's going to be gold. And then, like you're saying, you find something that's 10 seconds of your practice that was good, and you're like, oh, cool, that was something I can build upon.
Right.
Hopefully turn it into something.
Let me say one thing I love about Andrew's drumming style is he uses all of his drums and matches the song.
Yes.
You know, it's not just a regular beat most of the time. He's playing the toms according to notes that we're playing on guitar, and it just matches the song so well.
It does. I completely agree
Thanks,
with you
Kenny.
on that. I'm kind of the same way as you guys. As you mentioned, driving down the road, ideal popping in my head. When I get a chance to, luckily enough, I teach music at school too, so I get to have instruments there. I usually play on the ukulele in the classroom a lot, but I like just moving around, playing regular chords and then moving the notes in the chords. Like you basically, you do your 1 3 5, your normal stuff, and then make it like a 1 2 5, and kind of branch out. And so you guys mentioned that you kind of running with that idea, come up with something that just kind of pops in your head that sounds good. So how do you adapt what music you're writing to a specific style, or maybe to fit a specific project or audience?
I don't necessarily look at an audience or try to fit an audience. I usually do more of what I like or what sounds good to me. I want to be different. I want to sound different. So, but I feel like I am different in a lot of ways because like the sound, I guess the sound I've been working on lately that, like I said, country urban sound is really just who I am. You know, I'm a white boy that grew up in Orangeburg, which is a majority black city. And for me, that's a unique situation there. And it's made me who I am. And the sounds that I've been working on lately have kind of focused on that. And it's a unique sound that I'm looking forward to.
Super excited about that sound too. What are your hobbies or interests outside of music? I'll start this one if that's okay. I definitely enjoy spending time with my wife, first and foremost, and then family and friends. Love riding bikes, love going to the beach. Surfing, I am not a good surfer, but I love doing it. And then playing music. I love just sitting down and just playing music, drumming on my legs or something like that. And how about you guys?
Kind of the same thing, hanging out with friends and family, probably mostly. I like going to the gym, but recently in the past year or so, I got into road biking big time. So now I find myself on the road with a couple of friends and just cranking out some miles, trying to get some speed. And it's just fun having the wind blow through your hair or your helmet, maybe see a sunrise, sunset. Just a sucker for a good adventure outside of music.
Right.
I enjoy ice fishing.
Yeah?
Really?
In the Sahara. No, I work on cars. I enjoy restoring old cars, wrecking them, and don't really enjoy that part of it. But I've been fixing a lot of cars and restoring. I like restoring the Porsches, and making music and coaching football. That's pretty much what I do. My hobbies and playing video games when I get a chance.
Yeah. What's your favorite video game?
I like Rocket League. I like Titanfall 2, Car Mechanic Simulator. Yeah.
Do you play, I don't know any of those games, so do you play any like online stuff like Minecraft?
Oh, no, I don't like Minecraft.
Anything like
It's
that?
like electronic Legos for adults.
Right.
Yeah, Rocket League's online. I like that one.
Okay.
And Titanfall's online. But.
I got you. So, big question. It's kind of lead us into kind of the next half, if you will, of our time today. What's the story behind Football City, USA?
Well, I coached football at Rock Hill High School for 6 years. And my first day on the job, when I got to that school, I walked in and there was about 7 football players in the NFL working out. And I asked another coach, I said, what are they doing here? That's NFL guys. What, they holding a camp or something? And he said, no, they all went to school in Rock Hills. They just working out over the summer. And I was like, wow. And that was my first taste of Football City, USA, which is Rock Hill, Northwestern, South Point. Those 3 high schools put out more NFL football players per capita than anywhere in the U.S. And they're just known for like a NFL football factory. And so coaching there was a great experience. And it was a time that I look back on and be like, wow, I got to coach some of these guys and coach against some of these guys that went on to make, a lot of money in the pros. I was going down the road singing and just had that sound of that 77 southbound. And I was like, I like that. That's a little catchy. And just pieced it together and made a song out of it. And I just wanted to kind of give back, I guess, in a way, praising the city for what they've done, what the coach has done, the people, the parents raising those kids, and everything that's going into that town, that city, and not just an NFL football player. There's so many kids who've had unique experiences who are able to go on to college, who maybe that was their ticket, to go to college. So they've done a lot for these kids, and I just wanted to kind of give back in a way of praising that city for what they've done.
Of course. Andrew, anything you want to add to that?
Kenny's the mastermind in this one. We just, helped polish what was already pretty much polished.
Man, it went through a lot of processes.
It went through a lot of cuts. I guess
It did.
musically I could speak more on that side. The heart of the song, though, I think comes from the lyrics Kenny wrote. And
Right.
I think originally we tried to make like a ska version of the
reggae
song,
kind of version, yeah.
and I'll take the blame for that one because that was our Thirsty Souls kind of
vibe.
go-to vibe.
Right.
And then
We had a beach
realized,
sound to it at one time.
yeah, and then we realized that where he's coming from in Rock Hill ain't really by the beach. There ain't no coconuts to be singing some ska songs to. But then we had a little bit of refinement, and we talked to your buddy that's a producer, and I think that really he kind of pointed us in the right direction sound wise.
Helped us a lot.
Oh,
We,
yeah.
we went towards that country urban thing that we're talking about. Sounds like the word domesticated, but I'm just joking about it. I think the vibe really does fit us, though, because we're just dudes from different parts of South Carolina country. We like football, we like fishing, and we like going to the beach, and we like all the things that South Carolina kind of provides. And I think going back to the song, we just really helped Kenny stand it up because we agree with it. We can relate to it as Carolina boys, basically. Like we all enjoy a good football game, and we like the things that come from it, like the politics, the friendships, the success, and sometimes the losses that teams take. And we just think it's a really cool part about a Carolina culture. And
Right.
Nothing like a good Friday night football game. You got the band playing.
Hamburgers and hot dogs in the stand, a Coke in your hand.
Yeah,
you played in college.
I played high school ball and went on to play in college. Ended up playing at 3 different colleges, trying to chase a football dream, being 5'8.5", trying to push 5'9", and 170 pounds. I didn't realize I was the smallest guy on the football team in college, but
Bugsy Bogue football.
so I was trying to live the dream, and the dream died in college. I guess I couldn't let it die like that, and so I went on to coach. I've coached for 22 years now.
It's been a while. Who wants to tell us the story of how the three of us met?
I'll get it started, but I think we can all piece this back together because we all kind of met in Summerville, South Carolina. Yep. Brad and I were going through high school, graduating around 2004, right. And so we met at Summerville Family Worship Center, a church I was going to. Actually, all 3 of us did. I was part of a youth group, and I think that's where Kenny and I met. We met in that little room that they developed for the middle school through high schoolers and college age kids. So we met hanging out there, and I think, Brad, didn't you come into that church a little later when we had the back building, the bigger
I did.
the zone?
When the big, it was almost like a gym back there.
Yeah,
that was built. I had a friend invited me to go one Wednesday night, and after the service, went up to the stage and started jamming out on guitar again. I learned how to play in high school, so I was just kind of jamming out, and then the 2 of you guys walked up and was like, "Hey, do you play bass?" And I was like, "No."
So I think it started. Kenny and I knew each other first with that. It was called U-Turn Ministries. We had to change the name because some other youth group had that name.
Copyright or something.
And we eventually changed it and moved into the bigger building. But so Kenny and I were already kind of playing with the youth band. He was on guitar, I was playing bass, and maybe occasionally drums. So we always had another drummer there. And then one day we saw Brad. He's just walking around on the stage, and he picked up a guitar, and we're like, "That's our dude."
Yep.
And so we all met in Summerville Family Worship Center out there. Pretty cool.
It was pretty
cool. Kind of hit it off, ready to make some music.
And then I got to tell a story of the microphones at your dad's.
My dad's house.
Yeah.
I get electrocuted every time I touch it.
Whenever
somebody cut the ground off.
Yeah. So the microphones weren't grounded. The electricity wasn't grounded or something like that. So every time, whenever I sang, I like to eat the microphone. So whenever I put my mouth on it, it would shock me. It'd be like singing. I don't remember one of the songs, "Laughing Now" or something. Why are you laughing?
Get zapped.
That's right.
We had that group Thirsty Souls. We did a little bit. I think we toured a little bit in South Carolina. We did a motorcycle gig in North Carolina.
Which played a school up there.
Yeah. Yep. It was pretty cool. Yep. And then, unfortunately, we all had to go different directions for a little while. I went to the military.
Life happened.
Yeah, life happened. Kenny had like a football team of kids or a basketball team?
I was coaching at Charleston Southern at the time.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I went into music education. I was a band director for like a year, and I couldn't pay my bills, so I joined the military in 2013 and been with the Marines since. Brad came up here with Anna, right?
Yep. Up to good old Latta, South Carolina. Been up here since 2014, so probably 11 years or so. Yeah. Met my wife Anna at Charleston Southern, where we took some classes together because you were a music major, right?
Yeah.
And I was in youth ministry, and but I did some music stuff with the band on the side, and then so then you went into the Marines. What schools did you work at before you went into the Marines?
So I worked a little bit with Fort Dorchester High School. I think like one marching season. I think one with Goose Creek, and then right before I joined the Marine Corps, I was working with C.E. Williams Middle School as their middle school band director.
Yeah, Kenny's been coaching all this time. Kenny, what schools have you coached at?
If you name a school in South Carolina, I've either coached at it or coached against it, or I played there. Right. I've coached at Rock Hill, James Island, Orangeburg Prep, Lee Central, Scotts Branch, Charleston Southern University. A lot of places. I'm leaving some out because I can't remember them all. But I've bounced
You were an art
around.
teacher too, right?
Yeah, taught art, and now I'm teaching PE, which is funnest job I've ever had. It's
That's
great.
good.
I love it.
You got Donnell Stanley there, mapping out some plays for us.
Is that
Defense.
Nick Cannon on the snare drum? From
No, and then
who's that guy?
Great guy.
That was Slash,
that was
right?
Gogi right there, right?
That's in Rock Hill at the Fountain.
Yeah. Man, we made a day of shooting for that, didn't we? I did that because Mountain Dew's from Tennessee, so
I love to target on the
Yeah,
border potty.
aim here. Seems like it should be on the inside of the border, John.
don't miss, right?
That's my 86 Euro 928. Oh, those ladies were so nice.
Those ladies are amazing. Walking up to a football game, just like, hey, you want to do a recording with us, shoot a video? And they're like, yeah, we'd love to.
Liberty and justice for all.
Where is that?
Rock Hill. It's a
Yeah,
little,
what's that building?
little side alley, right off of Main Street. I think it's Main Street
Those streets are safe now.
because I'm not there recording right now. Yeah, it's South Point High School Stadium.
local friends we have here in Latta, South Carolina.
And she had a Charleston Southern shirt on where I coached.
What happened to the hood of that
Oh
car?
man, yeah, I wrecked my Porsche.
Oh, goodness.
So decided to still put it in the video. This is naming all the guys that went to the NFL from Rock Hill, which there's more now. There's a few more last year.
Yeah, Kenny always had a way to like pull a crowd in too with his antics and like truly a front man. When we played at churches or we played at the motorcycle rally, he was reeling people in.
That's kind of the when I say country urban, it's got more of a southern rock sound to this song. But then it's got that little rap part thrown right in the middle of it.
Right, yeah.
So you're in a helicopter when you film that, right?
That's how Brad gets to work.
Oh, the Brown brothers. very good football players in Lancaster. Lancaster's not really Rock Hill. Lancaster is not Football City, USA, but that was a hint to what's coming up. One of the next big things is Brown Brothers.